a common breakdown that I see amongst young kids, even older kids, when we look at like the instability of the single leg. Okay, so we got Micah here at peak leg lift, and now the responsibility of the single leg, the drive foot, the one thing that's attached to the ground at this point, when we descend from leg lift, is to absorb force, right? So when we, not to get like super overcomplicated here, but coming down from leg lift, there's energy, there's force, right? There's weight to be had, and we need to stabilize that in the drive leg, essentially absorb that and produce into the ground. So a lot of times when I see kids, and again, super common thing, we just kind of want to nip things in the butt as we move towards, getting older. Super common thing as I see is the drive leg starts to just kind of fold and collapse, kind of like a quad dominant going third base side for a righty. And then the front side kind of follows suit, because the front side and our glove, or our glove arm, and our drive leg are the two things that are kind of dictating our general direction. Okay. So once we have this direction established, you can see Micah here now, as he starts to get into his drive phase, his direction's going, I would say behind the right-hander batter's box. Okay. So not that move in and of itself is like bad, because you see a lot of guys that have crossfire deliveries. Personally, I don't think they're sustainable in terms of, just mechanical and biomechanic efficiency. But what happens, what we kind of start seeing is when we do have this misdirection, there's compensations that the body kind of goes through to try to catch back up on linear in that line, right? So you can see him coming down to his anchor point. He does a sensational job of his timing, his sequencing. Like this posture right here, like I work with, pro guys right now that can't really sustain this posture. Okay. But what we're seeing is fantastic at segmentation, right? The ability to segment the two rotations. Trunk is neutral, hips are into rotation, arm, hand up. Like that's freaking beautiful. But you can see his eyes, right? So our eyes are the one thing that's giving our body the perception that it needs to influence the movements. So if it's almost like kind of again, not to get like super nerdy and dive down these rabbit holes, but it's a cervical rotation thing. So if we don't have that general perception and that cervical rotation, essentially our neck rotation, to see where we're throwing it, there's that compensation again that's going to arise, and it's going to essentially the brain's going to signal to the body saying, hey, we need to pull, we need to get aggressive pull here so we can make way for us to see where we're throwing. Okay. So you kind of see that here into his next few frames here, kind of just starts to pull. So context, the delivery, the throw is both rotational and directional, right? We're creating both rotational energy. It's our separation, it's our stretch. He does a great job there. We're also creating forward acceleration, momentum, acceleration into our front foot strike that's going forward. We just want to bridge the gap. Okay. We don't want to be reliant all on our rotation, our rotational energy, which he does a great job of. We also want to get directional. Okay. And that's, again, not to say that we're trying to completely, overhaul the way he moves and throws. But we're also trying to just bridge that gap to be able to get more directional as well. So with what I mean by that is just to create more energy going towards the actual task, like the target, right? The direction of where the catcher is. So this is Bueller. This is a really good angle of what you can see here. Coming down from his leg lift, you can see his drive leg does the following that I mentioned earlier, absorbs that force. And now you can see once he establishes that front side extension, that direction, now his energy, although he's still producing rotation, right? That rotational, essentially like we're pulling that rubber band and we're trying to create as much stretch in that rubber band as possible. We're still creating rotation, but we're also doing a lot better job of getting more energy going towards the catcher, right? Towards our actual task, like where the throw is going. And now as he comes through, his trunk then follows that glove arm, and now he's getting extension towards the target, where we see with Micah, he lacks a little bit in that aspect of getting that extension. Right. Again, doing a lot of things really, really well. But now as he comes into ball release, you can see the early launch, which is just basically at ball release, the chest behind the lead knee. And we're pretty much limited on the amount of shoulder extension that we can get.